If I have seen further, it is by standing on the shoulders of giants. I do not know what I may appear to the world, but to myself I seem to have been only like a boy playing on the seashore, and diverting myself and now and then finding a smoother pebble or a prettier shell than ordinary, whilst the great ocean of truth lay all undiscovered before me. I can calculate the motion of heavenly bodies but not the madness of people. Nature is pleased with simplicity, and nature is no dummy. What we know is a drop, what we don't know is an ocean. Gravity explains the motions of the planets, but it cannot explain who sets the planets in motion. Truth is ever to be found in the simplicity, and not in the multiplicity and confusion of things. No great discovery was ever made without a bold guess. This most beautiful system of the sun, planets and comets, could only proceed from the counsel and dominion of an intelligent and powerful being. This being governs all things, not as the soul of the world, but as Lord over all, and on account of his dominion he is wont to be called Lord God Pi Alpha Nu Tau Omicron Kappa Rho Alpha Tau Omega Rho, or universal ruler. A man may imagine things that are false, but he can only understand things that are true. If I have ever made any valuable discoveries, it has been due more to patient attention than to any other talent. And to every action there is always an equal and opposite or contrary reaction. What goes up must come down. He who thinks half-heartedly will not believe in God, but he who really thinks has to believe in God. Live your life as an exclamation rather than an explanation. You have to make the rules, not follow them. Sir Isaac Newton was asked how he discovered the law of gravity. He replied, by thinking about it all the time. To myself I am only a child playing on the beach, while vast oceans of truth lie undiscovered before me. Tact is the art of making a point without making an enemy. Trials are medicines which our gracious and wise physician prescribes because we need them, and he proportions the frequency and weight of them to what the case requires. Let us trust his skill and thank him for his prescription. How came the bodies of animals to be contrived with so much art, and for what ends were their several parts? Was the eye contrived without skill in optics, and the ear without knowledge of sounds? And these things being rightly dispatched, does it not appear from phenomena that there is a being incorporeal, living, intelligent? If I have seen further than others, it is by standing upon the shoulders of giants. To explain all nature is too difficult a task for any one man, or even for any one age. 'Tis much better to do a little with certainty and leave the rest for others that come after than to explain all things by conjecture without making sure of anything. God without dominion, providence, and final causes, is nothing else but fate and nature. Blind metaphysical necessity, which is certainly the same always and everywhere, could produce no variety of things. All that diversity of natural things which we find suited to different times and places could arise from nothing but the ideas and will of a being necessarily existing. Whence arises all that order and beauty we see in the world? To explain all nature is too difficult a task for any one man or even for any one age. Plato is my friend, Aristotle is my friend, but my greatest friend is truth. Leum construas entro de mers et pas de pone. Yet one thing secures us whatever betide, the scriptures assures us that the Lord will provide. If I have been able to see further, it was only because I stood on the shoulders of giants. I have studied these things, you have not? Amicus Plato, amicus Aristoteles, magis amica veritas. Plato is my friend, Aristotle is my friend, but my greatest friend is truth. What Descartes did was a good step. You have added much several ways, and especially in taking the colors of thin plates into philosophical consideration. If I have seen a little further, it is by standing on the shoulders of giants. Truth is the offspring of silence and meditation. I keep the subject constantly before me and wait till the first dawnings open slowly, by little and little, into a full and clear light. In the absence of any other proof, the thumb alone would convince me of God's existence. The God who gave animals self-motion beyond our understanding is without doubt able to implant other principles of motion in bodies, which we may understand as little. Some would readily grant this may be a spiritual one, yet a mechanical one might be shown. Did not I think it better to pass it by? This principle of nature being very remote from the conceptions of philosophers, I forbore to describe it in that book, lest I should be accounted an extravagant freak and so prejudice my readers against all those things which were the main design of the book. A vulgar mechanic can practice what he has been taught or seen done, but if he is in an error he knows not how to find it out and correct it, and if you put him out of his road he is at a stand. Whereas he that is able to reason nimbly and judiciously about figure, force, and motion, is never at rest till he gets over every rub. To every action there is always opposed an equal reaction. There are more sure marks of authenticity in the Bible than in any profane history. I can calculate the motion of heavenly bodies, but not the madness of people. If others would think as hard as I did, then they would get similar results. For every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. Gravity explains the motions of the planets, but it cannot explain who set the planets in motion.